Oh, right. Morning. Something here. Okay. Morning. Okay. Wait for some people to join. Excuse my voice. Got a little bit of a cold, but we're good. Not COVID, just a cold. Okay. Again. A few more coming in. So today, I want to go through business plans. Simply because it's probably the most important thing that you need to do before you start a business and when you start a business and running a business, because there are a lot of variables that that consistently change, some on a daily basis. Right, so we'll get started. So business plans. Some of you who've been mentored by me, back in the day when we were doing like the elite stuff, you've all done business plans, and I can almost put money on it that, morning Tim, I can almost put money on it that out of, let's say there's 50 of you, that maybe two or three have actually looked at that business plan again since they first wrote it. And I can almost guarantee that most of you, again, have probably forgotten what's in that business plan, what the business plan was about, or you've gone completely sideways from what you actually put in that business plan. So without a business plan, you have no map to know what you're doing. And what that can do is, if you don't have a map, and let's say you want to go to Australia today, right? You've got to say to yourself, okay, how am I going to get there? The quickest way, the slowest way, the cheapest way, or whatever it might be. The cheapest way, you may think, is to walk. But then all of that time that you spend walking, you've got to feed yourself, you've got to have water, and it's going to be additional costs. And it's probably going to cost you 10, 20 times more to walk to Australia than it is to fly to Australia. Then you've got to say to yourself, shall I fly first class? Shall I fly business class? Shall I fly economy? Shall I do, break up the flights? Shall I do one non-stop? Shall I sail? Shall I get on a cruise boat? Shall I sail myself? Should I join the Merchant Navy and get a free trip to Australia? Shall I ride my bike to Australia? Shall I drive to Australia? You've got to think, not, necessarily that analogy, but you've got to think, right, the quickest way people will think, get to Australia, I want to get there is by airport. But then you've got to say to yourself, do I need the quickest route, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So bringing it back to business, you can just mute twice, please. You've got to say to yourself, what is the business that I'm creating? Whoever's on a whoever, can you mute, because everyone can hear nothing around. Cool. So you've got to say to yourself, right, I'm going into service accommodation. Now, the majority of people out there, and including the people who try and sell you the courses or whatever, they will say, it's a piece of piss, go out and do it. Just go for your life. All you got to do is get a property, fill it and put it on booking.com and Airbnb, and you'll be fine. Miraculous. Well, we know that that's not the way, because you're running a business. You've got to finance the business, and you don't, a lot of people think, oh, I've got 10 grand, I've got 20 grand. Doesn't matter. I'll finance it myself. Why finance it yourself? Why not get somebody else to finance it? You know, especially through a limited company or something like that. So there's limited liability. It's the way that most businesses are set up. It doesn't matter if you've got £1 million in the bank, you still don't think to yourself, I'm going to spend 20 grand of my money to set up a business, or 50 grand or 100 grand, because that money is at risk should the business fail, etc. Now, the business might not fail because of you. It might fail because of the economic climate. You know, we're on our third PM, or we will be this year, I think it is, or the last couple of years. It will be this year. Yeah, we'll be on our third PM. So we've gone from Boris to Truss, and we'll go back to Sunak by the looks of things, as I predicted last week. And then you've got, we didn't predict Brexit. We didn't predict COVID. We didn't predict the Ukrainian special operation, or whatever it might be. So you need to have a business plan where you plan for highs and lows. You've got to have what we call a survival budget in place. So you're riding the nice high crest, you're earning money, you think this is a piece of cake, you start to rest a bit on your laurels. I need to look at the business plan. I'm smashing this. I can tell you now, when you're riding high, when you're riding the crest of those waves, everything's good. That is probably the #1 time to assess your business. Because you may be thinking my business is flying all the time, all the time, all the time. History will tell you that things always come up, whether the stock market crashes, the pound goes down, mortgage rates go up, whatever. You know, all of these things have an effect on every single business. It doesn't matter if you're in property or not. So you've got to plan a survival budget, and the survival budget, #1, first and foremost, is how you're going to survive if your business does not pay you. How are you going to survive yourself if you have no money coming in from your business? Is it you'll then say, the 20 grand I was going to put in, I can now use that as a survival to keep the business going. You know, it might be 2 or 3 grand that you have to spend instead of the 20 grand that's gone out already. You've borrowed that 20 grand, whether it's through the British Bank, Prince's Trust, or whatever it might be, wherever you've done it. You've borrowed that money. That money is safe in respect to you because it's through the limited company. It may be in some circumstances that the bank will say, or like Barclays, for instance, you'll say, look, I need 100 grand. Barclays will say, you put in 50, I'll put in the other 50. You still have reduced your position by half. Good. We like to use other people's money. And then you might say, oh, that's going to cost me £1 grand or £1,500 a month through the business. It's not. It's costing the bank that money. You pay it back, yes. But if you put all of the 50 grand or the 100 grand in yourself, it's going to cost you more than that. So you say your business fails in a year or 2 years and 24 months, you've got to work out it's cost you £2 grand a month or 3, 4, 5 grand a month or whatever it is in all of that time to fund your own business. Whereas you cut it in half using someone else's money, and that's how it's done. Don't think that, you know, oh, you're costing people money. We don't go in business to lose money. We go in business to make money. This is called saving my ass or your ass. So you've got to think how you're going to finance the business, what's going to happen to you and your personal finances should everything blow up, whether it's your fault or someone else's fault or whatever, it doesn't matter, or the economy, politics, whatever. So you need to cover your ass all the time, your bottom, your backside, whatever it is. It makes sense? Now, I want you to make sure that, you know, if you're now starting this business, you do it the right way around. If you're thinking, what next in my business? What's going on? For instance, you know, guys in Scotland, it's not your fault. Things are going well, and yet the councils are saying, oh, you're going to have to go through planning hoops, like, you know, 200 of them. And by the way, 199 of them are pretty much impossible. So if you can get through those, you get through the final one, blah, blah, blah. They're being completely unreasonable. And I think it's going to backfire to them. However, You've got to say to yourself, right, how am I going to get through the next 6 months or whatever it takes? So, you should be planning for this already. So you've got to say to yourself, right, I now need to start, if I want to keep this business going, I need to now start looking for other areas other than Scotland. It could be that you go close to the borders up in Newcastle that way, etc. Start researching those areas. It may be that you say to yourself, look, I've got expertise. I'm really good at setting properties up. I want to partner with somebody who has systems in place and that can run a service accommodation system, and they make money from it. And you may say to yourself, you know what, I want to invest in that expertise. And that person may say, I would welcome you to invest in me. It may not be your own money that you're investing. Again, it doesn't have to be. Investors typically, or business people typically, do not ever want to use their own money because it is too risky. Because if your business fails and you put in $250,000 and you've got 300,000 in your bank, your $250,000 could be gone. Risk somebody else's money as in an institution who writes it off anyway against the tax man, and the government pays for it. But guess what? That's why we pay taxes. Remember, the government is first and foremost its own PLC, its own company, its own limited company. So if you have a business plan that you've been following, hopefully to a certain extent, you need to start now revising what's going to happen now. I know you should have done this a year ago. You should have done it. You should be doing it you should be revising your business plan, or at least checking it off every quarter, every 3 months. Put it in your diary. Spend, 3-4 hours, put it in your diary, lock it out every quarter, or now, this week, block out 3 to 4 hours to go through meticulously your business plan. And if there's anything in there that your gut tells you is not right, change it until the gut says, you know what, we're right. So there are some people out there who will say, you write your business plan, you never change it. Oh my Lord. Can you imagine? There's such bullshit. So let's put it in logical terms. Elon Musk, who everyone knows. Elon Musk, started PayPal or whatever it was, and he started Tesla. I would like to see Elon Musk's business plan when he started thinking about starting up an electric car company. Because he's gone from there to there, to there, to there, to there, to there. I can guarantee you his business plan has been updated multiple times. And in fact, he's probably updating it right now to, again, advance more in technology, etc., whatever it might be. Even his personal business plan. So a lot of people don't even think that you need a personal business plan. What is your personal business plan? You have one for your business. And then personally, what do I want to pay myself? How do I want to advance? What am I going to use to advance that? How am I going to, buy 2 new houses or whatever it might be, or another business? I don't really want to take it out of my savings. Oh shit, I've got a business that's been going well for 2, 3, 4 years. I'm holding cash in there. Perhaps my business can now send me a loan. And then that business will charge you, maybe, maybe not, on paper, it's always good, a couple of percentage or so. And then the business makes more money coming back in on paper. And then what you can do is you will simply pay yourself the loan. You might do it in tranches, whatever it might be. You start a new business, you start something else, whatever it might be. Your business is now funding your life. Make sense? And there's a lot of tax benefits to you to be able to loan to yourself from your business or through your business, and then paying that back. There's certain tax benefits as well. Excuse me. So what is say it to yourself now, what are your top 5 goals for your business in the next 3 months? And you should be able to go bang, 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 bang. Some of you are thinking, sitting there, in fact, most of you are sitting there going, go, or make more money. Get more properties. Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah, they're my top 5. Because you haven't thought about it. You should be able to go to your business and say, one second, I'll go to my business plan, here it is, I'll just refresh. But I'm sure they pretty much, revolve around this, and this, and this. So you need to set goals, and doing a business plan, your goals will be very different now. So for instance, Timbo's been here 5-6 years now, Sam not much far behind. Your original business plan when we went out, it should be very different to what you are now. I mean, Tim, you've got apartment blocks now, in amazing central places like Windsor and that type of thing, what people dream of now. They dream of that shit. So you should be saying to yourself, what are your goals now that you've achieved those certain amount of property? What are your goals with those? How do you see the market going? How do you see it moving? From your experience in those central historical towns, what's happening? Have you done an analysis and research on who's coming at the moment? You probably already know this, but are most of your customers coming from the US? Are they coming from Thailand? Are they coming from Germany, Central Europe, Western Europe, Eastern Europe, whatever? And then you say to yourself, how am I going to target those sort of people? You might be getting longer corporate stays. You might say to yourself, you know what? Corporate stays, they're staying for 3, 4, 5, 6 months at a time. My workload has suddenly gone down to the bottom of the rack, and yet my profits have held steady, and yet I'm doing less work. I like that. So if Alex was on here with Cam, some of their bookings are 12 months. What do they do for their money? Not a lot. The cleaner goes in once a week, blah, blah, blah. Might even be once a month, depending on what the corporate client has requested. So you need to understand, what are your goals now? How are you sharpening up or tightening up your goals? Is the war making a difference for you? The cost of energy and that type of stuff. What adjustments have you made to counter off those? Have you simply just put your prices up? Or are you now saying to yourself, what we're going to do monthly readings. We're now going to cancel all of our direct debits, and we're going to pay as we go. We're going to pay for basically what we have. We did that adjustment just at home recently, and they were trying to put us on $550 a month tariff. It was a bit lower than that, and then they put it up to $550. We've turned around and said, look, we just want to pay as we go, cancel direct debit. We now average around about $325 a month gas and electric, and they sent us back 700 odd pound as a refund because they'd overcharged. Now, if you've got 10 properties or even 20 properties running at that could be all of a sudden, 10 properties, and if they're all running at 700, excess money, that's $7,000 back in your pocket, and you're bringing your bills down by a third. Is that something worth looking at and putting in your business plan? I think so. You've got to get your monthly readings, obviously, but a lot of you might be on smart meters anyway. But if you're not, you simply get your cleaner, just take a photo and send it over when you're there, will you, please? Gas and electric, whereas most of you are probably on electric only anyway. All right. So you need to be consistently looking at your business plan, updating, adjustments are key. Operations have probably changed. I know that Priya's just joined. I know that Priya's operations from when she first started, again, 5 years ago, her operations and what she would have in her business plan are very different to what she would have now, because she uses other people's time, other people's expertise, can manage other properties in multiple locations without having to, do more work. I know that Tim has got, I think, 2 different locations. I think it's just Windsor and Oxford now, but key sort of historical towns and tourist towns. And I know that Tim is constantly looking for new apps and new ways to sharpen up his operations. So these are adjustments that you need to be making, because if you don't, you can also get left behind. If you're not following new technology, you get left behind. Like even with the, you know, the food, the hospitality industry, as far as food goes, the cafe that we're putting together, and I can tell you what, if you don't have a plan, if you don't have a business plan and you're opening a cafe, oh my Lord, there are 1,000 things to think of. You know, even just finding coffee and cake suppliers, wholesalers, it's just a nightmare. And then you've got to think ventilation, then you've got to think kitchen equipment, do by new. You know, go on Facebook and you can do this with your furniture and that type of stuff as well. You go onto Facebook, there are groups for unwanted catering equipment. There are pubs buy or swap groups where they're virtually, you know, industrial fridge that's $3.5 grand, they're selling for 1,100-1,200 quid, and they go, you know, had it 6 months, changed my mind, haven't done this, done that, whatever, because it's expensive stuff. So part of your business plan may be, you know, where can I find near new furniture for half the price? You know, one thing that Tony and I used to look at is, look, mate, you know, we're buying furniture new, and yet if we tried to sell, you know, that might be costing you 5-6 grand to furnish a property, and you say to yourself, you know what, I'll put that in my property and then I'll sell it. You might not even unwrap it, and then you sell it on the open market, you make a massive loss. So why not find those places that are doing that? There's like other things like bygones and all these sort of things, like, you know, near new, used, or whatever, or brand new, unwanted, or whatever it might be. Why not let someone else take that hit, take that loss? You know, it's like a brand new car. It's been a demonstrator or a demo vehicle for the dealership. It's done a couple of 1,000 miles, and yet you can take 5 or 6 grand off it, because whenever you drive that car off the courtyard, that's how much it drops in value pretty much, you know, straight away. Unless it's Aston Martin, I think it drops by half. So why not have in your business plan, find different ways of buying and purchasing? Because if it's over 10 properties, you're saving yourself maybe 20-25 grand. You know, we've already discussed what you're going to save, what you might get back from the energy companies. Why not use that money that is yours, it's been sitting in their account, to then fund your next property or your next two, if you're finding stuff that's half price. You've got to think smarter, especially in the way the marketplace is at the moment. Make these adjustments in your business plan. You know, for those who are coming on Saturday with Priya, she's going to show you ways to save money like you wouldn't believe, just with your operations, doing nothing else. You know, that's purchasing nothing. So, you know, we spoke about your target market, you know, like, you know, is it moving more towards corporate? Would you prefer longer? Is your area suitable for corporates? You know, tourists, you know, have come back. Do you want more tourists? Because one thing also with Daniela, what you might be able to get around is, and again, if you have your business plan, you put this in place with the corporate, is to get around the rulings or whatever they have up there. It may be that you can have 3 or minimum 3 month, 6 month stays or whatever for corporate. You know, have a look at that. Investigate that. Is that something you get around these little micro bullshit rules that they seem to try and make up to ruin business? And yet, when your bill comes up for corporation tax, oh, have that, please. What do you mean you're closing your business? Oh, we closed you down. Oh, how's that? Oh, sorry, didn't realise. Well, can you pay anyway? No, we can't, mate. So, you know, design your business around, you know, what the current state of the market is. And the good thing is that when you're building for a tourist market or you're building for a corporate market, the furniture and what you provide are near enough the same anyway. All right. But I urge you to go on to
Ash.
Yeah. Priya.
Ash, can I just add to that?
Yes.
So my Heathrow flat, 90-day rule in London, probably a good one for Daniela. Exactly the same. I put it on short let. I got caught by council. They wanted to fine me and everything else. So I had to put it back on a standard buy to let. This time, as soon as the tenant moves out, I'm going to put it back on a short let because A, my mortgage payments are going to increase on that one. So the rent's not going to really cover it, or will only just break even, if that. So I'm going to do a minimum 90-day stay on that one, so that I can still short let it, as well as the extra cash to cover the mortgage and make profit on it. So there must be a loophole you can use, Daniela, to do that in Scotland as well.
Some shape or form, because you've got to respect that there will be people operating up there, big companies who may have 50, 60, 70, 80, 100, 150 units. They're not going to fold the business overnight. They're going to be sitting down with accountants and lawyers looking for loopholes. That's what they want to do. So there will be loopholes somewhere, shape or form. And also with that, Priya, if you're going on a limited company mortgage, you get all the benefits and the taxes and everything as well. So it's a double whammy, a double good whammy. I've been in business for a while now, and I've been around successful people and less around people who try to drag the shit out of you. And I can honestly say that the people who do make it in business, they do look at their systems, they do look at their plan, revisit their plan. Where am I going? What do I want to do? And it's your personal plan and your business plan. You must have a personal plan. Otherwise you're just going, what am I going to eat? How am I going to eat? What's my diet going to be? What am I going to drink? Am I going to drink? Am I going to drink alcohol? Am I not? How many times a week, etc., etc., etc. I train with a guy down at the gym now, who's a good friend of mine. He was telling me today, and he hit it well. And he's same height as me, and he said to me, we were talking about why he started, and he said, I was a 48-inch waist. He said, I am now down to 38. And he has been training his heart out, but we agreed that if he's going to do that, you need to also not go all there and then stop, and then all there and stop. Don't want to be start. You want to be consistent. And he's built his personal plan, his business plan around his lifestyle and what he can do and what he can't do. So he'll get to a certain stage with his fitness. He knows where he's at. He still does his social stuff. He's, instead of having half a dozen beers on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, he now has a couple of gin and tonics, because we worked out that if you have white spirits, slimline, hardly any calories, alcohol still doesn't do a lot for you, but it's not 2,000 or 3,000 calories extra that day just on beer. So, and he's written a plan around it, and you should see his diet. He showed this PT guy, and the guy's like, mate, I don't know where you got this, but this is pure science, because that's what he wanted. He didn't want to just say, somebody say, have a banana here, have an apple there, have a scoop of peanut butter. He wanted detail, and that's the way he is. And he's a builder. He's not a builder as in a brickie. He runs a building company. And this morning, again, we were at the gym, and he said, I've got some good news. I've now managed to secure the £3 million from the investors who were shaking last week and was threatening to pull it back. And he said, we're already all in. So he said, I'm all in. And I said to him last week, the same thing I said to you guys. I said, look, if trust goes, then there'll be confidence come back in investors. I said, if it's Johnson, the investors will be 50-50. And as I said last week, if Sunak comes in, because everyone's now putting the policies in that he said to put in place, I said, then the confidence will be there. And as soon as they said, yesterday, he got the confirmation, as soon as they said, Sunak's going to be the man, looks like it's going to go, they said, Mike, boom, 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 here's your 3 million. It is amazing what one person in government, Prime Minister, can do to a marketplace. And we saw that happen over the last 2 weeks. It just dived. I think, I said last week, if we get to the 115 on the dollar, then we will know. I don't know what it is at the moment. Once we get to that, then we know we're kind of clear. I think it's got almost there. I don't know, over the last few days, probably sitting just below it. But once we hit that and go beyond that, that will be, I would say, once Sunak is told that he's got the job, because he's an intelligent guy. He's got the backing of a lot of wealthy people, which will help the government with borrowing and all that sort of stuff. So he's got more than just, you know, the face of a PM and that type of thing. So, you know, would I vote for him? I don't know, but I think he's the best of what they've got to offer at the moment. And it does make a massive difference. So, you know, talking about having your personal plan, you know, Mike's been stressing the builder guy for a few weeks now, I think, you know, or the war, the dollar, people not getting this, mortgages and that type of stuff. Then all of a sudden this morning, he's like, yes, I've got the 3 mil. I've got the 3 mil. He can now go and finish his projects and sell them. He said, even if we sell them at cut price, we're still going to make probably 700,000-800,000 profit. Nice, not compared to the 1.52 million that he should be making. But again, you know, you've got to have a plan for worst case scenario. He's got his break-even plan where he needs to be. He knows exactly where he needs to be. And that's why he's sweating, because he was like, I need this extra money to finish the projects. I don't know where I'm going to get it. No one's coming forward. Yeah, the investors have come forward, bang, there we go. And he gets some money this afternoon. So all you have to do is think in the same way. You might be thinking, oh yeah, but that's millions, it's millions. Take off a zero for every level that you think you're at until you get down to 30 quid, 300 quid, 3,000 quid, 300,000, 30,000, 300,000. Whatever level you're playing at, you should still have the same mentality, because you're going to have an X amount of money that should mean as much to you as what £3 million does to somebody. And again, it's another example of Mike's doing well. He does well. He's got a few quid around, but he still borrows other people's money, because he said, there's no way I am going to risk £3 million of my own money. He doesn't have the 3 million, but he would not risk that if he had it in the bank, unless it was absolutely right down to the end. Yeah. And even then he'd be like, I think it's probably best to fold and move on. You've got to think like a business person. Take your personal, emotional thoughts of business and throw them out the window. If you're buying an investment property, you do it based on numbers, not on, oh, it's lovely, look at that chocolate box. You don't buy an investment property. You don't start a business with that same mentality either. The reason I'm talking about all this, because I've spoken to 3 of you over the past 2 weeks, and I've said to you, send me your business plan. I don't even know if I've got it. What's in your business plan? I don't know. And yet they're the people who are saying, fuck, I'm struggling. I'm struggling. Of course you're struggling, because you've turned off the sat nav and you've decided to drive left as far as you can. You don't even know where you're going. And in fact, there's no road signs on the roads. You're in the middle of the deep, dark outback of Australia. No wonder you're lost. No wonder you're shitting yourself, because you have no plan. And then your personal plan starts to go to shit. Oh, fuck, I'll have a glass of wine. I'll have a glass of wine. I'll have 2 glasses of wine. The world feels better after 2 glasses of wine. It might do. But I'll tell you what, the next day you need bloody 4 to get over the other 2. You know, I can't emphasize enough. And I think I was getting to the people that I've come across in my years on this planet who are successful. They have a different mindset. They think differently. They do not think, well, fuck, it's only going to cost me 2 grand if it goes down. Or if it's only going to cost me 10 grand. Well, 10 grand, so be it. You know, lesson learned. Did all right for a bit. It's only 10 grand. It's not just 10 grand. Because if I sat right next to you right now and I had a wad of cash in this bag and I go, there you go. Do you want this 10 grand? You go, nah, you're all right. It's free. You can have it. No, you're all right. What a load of shit. Or if I said to you, what's this 10 grand sitting on the table? Can I have it? Can I have that? You'd be like, no, you can't. But because you don't see it, it's not tangible, it's sitting in the bank account, or, you know, you've given up, you think you're failing, you just, oh, let's let it go. Let it go. That is not the mentality of a successful person. Imagine getting back to Elon Musk. Imagine if he stopped everybody every time somebody said, "No, good mate, you're not going to get 20 billion to fund these new batteries and new, building a factory in the middle of a desert. Are you insane?" And guess what? It's one of the most productive factories in the world now. Or you're not going to sell cars in Europe. They're American, these Teslas. Guess what? Biggest selling electric car in Europe. Oh, you want to do what? You want to do like Wi-Fi, internet that's available from satellites well, why? We use routers. We use all the local GPS or whatever system it is, satellite. And now guess what? It's saving the Ukrainian army, SpaceX or Star, whatever it is. So I was talking to two people the other day as well. And, we're talking about cafe business and that type of stuff. And I'll tell you what, they run like a little one in another town. And I said, "How's business?" And they bounced off each other. And it was amazing to see that they bounced off each other. It was like two negatives on magnets. And I spent 10 minutes talking to them. And after that, I thought, no wonder you guys need a drink. I need a drink just listening to this shit. I don't know if it's because I'm so programmed to be positive and just crack on and do what you do. It's just like, it drained the shit out of me. And if you're like that, then no wonder you're feeling crap. You need to get around some positivity. You need to start getting some success, even if it's a personal success in your life. Just kick on and make it happen. My wife said to me the other day, she said, "You're almost like you don't understand people when they're like really negative." I said, "It's not that I don't understand them. It's just that my brain shuts off." She said, "Yeah, but sometimes you've got to be empathetic." And I said, "Well, I do. Somebody come to me and they're negative and that, I'll try and help them. But you can only be helped if you want to be helped. All right. That's the absolute truth. If I'm standing here now and I want to go to the door, all I've got to do is get up and walk. But if I don't want to get up and walk, I won't go. It's up to you, in the end, who drives your business or whatever it might be. So, yes, for those 3 people this week, I expect to see your business plans by the end of the week in absolute detail. If you need to send pictures to illustrate better what it is that you're thinking, then do that. Because I do understand that some people can be more sort of articulate by sending pictures instead of actually explaining them and that type of stuff. So I'm happy for that, as long as you understand and you know what it is. And number one thing in your business plan, get creative. Because you've got to think, I'm going to show this to a bank, I'm going to show this to this. My business plan that I've done for my cafe is so freaking detailed. And then I give it to my wife to check because she is 100 times more detailed than me. Can you go over this? First thing she does is copy and paste, spell check, grammar, spell check. I went, I forgot to do that. But mine is more the creative stuff. And she comes on there and says, "This is good. And then on the Instagram page I've kind of given people some insights of what's coming and that type of stuff, And there's a cafe in town. I think, you cheeky bastards. A day later, pistachio lattes and that pistachio milk. And then funky cocktails and this sort of stuff, 1 or 2 nights a week. What they're doing, starting funky cocktail night. So now I'm kind of counteracting it, and I'll be saying, right, are you ready to copy? Here it is, the latest thing, that type of stuff. So, but it's getting people talking in town, which is good, which is exactly what we want. So before I keep going on, we've got some messages. I think Danielle mainly. Okay, yeah, good. I do have a business plan template. Yes. Okay. Oh, let's go back. Here we go. So yeah. I don't have a business plan apart from a monetary goal in my head. And I dare say that you are probably turning over in your business, I don't know, like anywhere between 150 to 200 grand a year turnover. You don't have a business plan. That's a lot. So, note to self. Good. Okay, good. Yeah. Good. Good. Yeah, I've got a template. You should do a workshop where everyone writes their business plan. I have done those. I have done those online ones. Okay, 10-year. Okay, this is I do a 10-year goal and then break that down. Good. We don't want to be 5 years, then 2. Good, yeah, because, and that's very good that you break it down, because the hardest thing to do for most people is not, you'll have the vision and you'll know, and if you've got a your vision board or whatever it might be, you'll have this vision. And let's say it's a house that you want to build and it's 7 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms, whatever it might be, right? It's huge. You've suddenly done really well and you're building this amazing house. And then you say to yourself, shit, yeah, I want this. It's going to be built within the next 3 years. I'm going to be living in it. And then you've got to say to yourself, where do I start? Well, might need an architect. Actually, you know what you might need? You might need some fucking land to put it on. Oh yeah, I need land. Yeah, of course. Well, I'm going to buy land. What's my budget for the land? Oh, the house is going to be 800,000-900,000 to build. The land, well, if I'm going to buy, am I going to borrow money for the house? Because if I do, the land's, I can't buy a 20 grand plot of land because it's going to be over that. Oh shit, I don't know. Who's going to finance this? Who's going to do the bank? What money have I got in the bank? What are the mortgage rates? What's going on in the world? Oh shit, interest only, that's going to cost me 5 grand a year, 5 grand a month. And that's without the land. And I'm like, oh, well, hang on a minute, I only had a budget for 4 grand a month. What's happened in the world? Oh shit, back on planet Earth, here I am. So you've got to do the small steps each way. So take one step, sort that out. Take the next step, sort that out. You might be able to take the next 10 steps, you take one, because you are now handing over to an architect, handing over to a project manager, whatever it might be. But then it becomes one of your steps is to meet with those people once a week. Make sense? And then you have to say, right, okay, when are the payments going to need to be made? There's a build and want payment for, when I put the slab down or foundations down. Is it going to be at window height? Is it going to be lock up? When does the money have to be in place? When does it have to be in my bank to go their bank? Because if it's not there to go, there's going to be delays. What are delays going to cost me? So in your business plan and your life plan, like Priya said, I would go one step further. And I would say to myself, how much money do I need? Well, you say to yourself, what lifestyle and where am I going to live? What house am I going to live? What car am I going to have? How many times a year am I going to go on holiday? Am I going to work or whatever at the age of retirement? You have to write down exactly what lifestyle, what it is that you want. If you like your lifestyle now, write down what that costs you every year. It may be that by retirement, you might own your house, whatever it might be, whatever. You work out your scenarios, but you need to understand how much money it's costing you now. What's it going to cost you in 5, 10, 20, 30 years time, depending on how old you are. And then you go into your little inflation calculator, a free one online, and find out that what's costing you 25 grand a year now, when you retire in 30 years, might be costing you 70 grand a year, just for, to handle the same lifestyle. Then you've got to say, what's the cost of living going to be as in like, you know, your mini budget, what are you going to eat? How are you going to drink? You're going to have nice wines, shit wines. You've got to plan all these things out to the end of your life, so to speak, so that financially you understand where and when you need to be. Too many people I hear and speak to say, oh, well, if I fuck up, the government will take care of me. Bullshit. That is moving away super, super, super fast at a faster rate than you can possibly imagine. And are you going to be able to afford to live on your current lifestyle on 140 quid a week? No, definitely not. So the mentality should be, what do I need now? What do I need in 30 years when I retire? What do I need to start doing now to create that long-term wealth that's going to pay me if I want to go on holidays? Business, investments, property, whatever it might be. We've gone over this 100 times. You need to know where you're going to be in 30 years so that you can start making those changes now. Because I can tell you now, what you do today makes a difference in an hour. What you do today makes a difference in a week, in a month, in a year, and the rest of your life. In fact, what you do today or what you don't do today will have a massive effect on what you're doing in 30 years' time. That is how you need to think. Because if you sit down, nothing's going to happen, go my way. You go and spend money, you have lunch, you have a drink, you're spending more money. That money, and then you can't invest and it's gone forever. I think it's Warren Buffett who still, whether he does or not, drives around in an Oldsmobile that's 20 years old, because his mentality is, I don't want a Lamborghini, I don't want a Bugatti that's going to cost me millions of pounds, I don't want Ferraris, because that is money that's going to cost me 20 million in the long run. If I spend £1 million on a car, it's going to cost me 10 million over the next year, because that million I could have invested in something that's going to make me money, bring me an income and increase in value. It's called an asset. A car is a liability, unless of course it's some of the rarest cars in the world, but they're already pretty much taken. Make sense? So, okay, a vision board with your end goal on it. And this will drive you to achieve it. Yeah, there you go. So your vision board could be your retirement, what you're going to do. Forget the bullshit with yachts. Forget the Ferraris and the Lamborghinis. This is not a true life vision board for the majority of people starting out in business. Have a vision board for your next 12 months. Have a vision board for your next 2 years. Have a separate one for your next 5 years. And have a vision board for your retirement. You might want to put your Lamborghinis and shit on that one. But I can tell you, probably by the time you're at retirement age, the last thing you're thinking about is a flashy Lamborghini, flames coming out the back. You can go and park out the front of Harrods. All the little young fellas on Instagram are taking photos of you revving your car. The novelty may have worn off by then, believe me. So I might sound a bit harsh, but sometimes you're going to...
It needs to be a realistic vision board when we talk vision boards. There's got to be stuff that you're actually going to achieve, realistic stuff that you're going to do.
And that's it. I mean, think about where you are in life now. And you're doing this because you want to get on better, you want more money, you want to spend more time with kids or spend more time with friends, family, or just spend time on your own, it might be. No one nagging you about when to go to work and when to go home or when to get that report in. Don't, and people say to me, oh, I want to earn like £1 million a year and all that sort of stuff. And yet some of those people telling me that are on 17, 18 grand a year. And I say to them, okay, that's great, and £1 million a year. What do you think it's like to have £1 million a year? What are you going to do with £1 million a year? Oh, I'm going to buy cars, I'm going to buy that. No. So what your personal plan should say, your vision board is, I'm going to waste £1 million a year on nothing. And they plucked this number out of their head. You know, most people, when we used to run the courses, is how much money do you want to earn a month? Everyone did the round figure 10 grand a month. Most were on 2 or 3 grand a month. I can tell you now that I like to live on as little as possible every month. In fact, I hate taking money. I hate seeing money come out of my bank account unless it's on investments or something like that. It's not that I'm a tight ass, because my wife buys her clothes and this, whatever she wants, because she earns her own money, she does her own business. You know, that's the way it is. But for me, I'm like, right, come on, we've got to, if we're going to spend money, it's got to make me money. You know, it's not like, yeah, let's go on a world cruise and fucking have 6 months off because we can afford it. No, my mind is we can never afford to waste money. Yeah, go travel the world for 6 months. I can tell you this, I've traveled for quite a lot. And by the end of 10 days, 2 weeks, all I'm thinking about is getting home into my own bed. I don't want to travel for 6 months. Some of you might like doing that, but that's not for me. I've driven Ferraris, Lamborghinis, loud cars, quiet cars. And I can tell you now, you think about it when you're driving, as soon as you're out, you might sit in your driveway, losing money, and that just would grind me to death. The only reason we've got a nice car now is because it's electric and the business pays for it. It doesn't come out of my pocket, and that's how we sold it to each other. We do not pay a penny out of our bank account. Other people's money pay for our car. Now, other people's money is customers into our businesses. This is the way you've got to look at it. Good? Make sense? Any feedback?
Can I add something? One of the things I do is when I'm looking at my investments now, I look at, okay, so what bit of my lifestyle is that investment going to pay for? And I'm chipping away at my lifestyle now and how it's going to pay for itself to get me to that place where I'm not then paying for it or having to earn money to pay for it myself. My investments are.
Yeah. I mean, your personal plan, the business plan would have changed significantly after child 1 and then child 2.
Yeah, completely.
Costs.
Yeah, completely changed. And even still today, when I look at it, it's changed completely.
That's good. And that's a massive signal of growing and success. That's what that means. And it will continue to change because, you know, you strive for your systems, you strive for success. You don't want to stand still. You don't want to sit in your hands. You don't want to say, oh, it doesn't matter. I'll just let it go. And, you know, you've got that mentality. You left your job 5 years ago. It was a well-paid job and took that jump. Oh, fuck. And now, look, you're sitting at home. No one's spoken to you. No one said, you, Priya, where's this? Where's that? Where's the report? You haven't had 100 texts, emails, phone calls. Heathrow's bloody blowing up or whatever. The baggage system's not working. You haven't had any of that for the last hour.
I haven't.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's such a nice lifestyle to be able to just work when you want to work. But with that, don't, like Ashley said before, you can get quite lazy with it and you have to make sure you don't. And obviously COVID and all of the economic pressures have changed business plans as well. You know, buying a property today compared to pre-COVID is completely different. So I'm having to relook at all of that and actually, what am I buying? Where am I buying it? How am I buying it? Because it isn't the same. It's not as easy. You've got to really think about what it is you're doing and why you're doing it as well. Yeah,
yeah. And every single business, corporation, massive global company is having to do the same. Exactly the same. It's not restricted to small business. It's not restricted to 1, 2, 3 man bands. It's everyone because it's a global phenomenon that's occurring and has changed, etc. So, yeah. So let's see what Mr. Sunak does. Let's see what it does for the economy, as in the investment and the trust. We've already seen signals of it personally, close by. I dare say there'll be more to come. His policies, I think, especially with Hunt, they seem to be switched on financially. let's see. Let's see, as I say, the proof's in the pudding. But yeah, I'll send you over a business plan, Daniela, so you've got that. Do you want one specifically for service accommodation or perhaps business, just business itself? Let me know and we'll go from there. Priya, you want to have a cup of tea and then come back on, or?
No, I'm good.
Well,
I'm just full of cold at the moment, but otherwise I'm good.
Well, I'll get off this one because it's recorded, and I'll get on another one. I invite you to another one. I'm just going to grab a quick cup of tea because I've been talking shit for an hour.
All right. In that case, I'll grab a coffee too.
All right, cool. Take care, guys. Well done.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.